Who would you rather have president, Joe Biden or Vladimir Putin?
Oh, Putin. Definitely.
And why is that?
I believe he's been given a tough since World War II. Russia's been the bad guy, when in actuality the Nazis left Germany, and they ended up going to the Ukraine, coming in here. George Bush was actually thank you. George Bush was actually a Nazi.
This MAGA moron is saying what a lot of Republican voters are thinking. Given the choice, she'd rather have Vladimir Putin as president than Joe Biden, because according to Donald Trump, Russia's just gotten a bad rap over the last 100 years.
Thank you.
That clip comes to us from our friends over at the Good Liars. The GOP's pro-Russia mania is everywhere, but not every Republican is on board with the party's open embrace of Vladimir Putin. Back in May, Donald Trump made a big claim. If elected president, he pledged to end the war in Ukraine in just 24 hours. Take a look.
I would sit down. Let me just put it a nicer way. If I'm president, I will have that war settled in one day, 24 hours.
How would you settle that war in one day?
Because I'll meet with Putin, I'll meet with Zelensky. They both have weaknesses and they both have strengths. And within 24 hours, that war will be settled. It'll be over. It'll be absolutely over.
Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I don't think in terms of winning and losing.
Okay, first off, since when has Donald Trump not cared about winning and losing? This is the guy who literally wrote the book on winning, or at least slapped his name on a book somebody else wrote about winning. But Trump's claim that he'd sit down with Vladimir Putin and charm his way into a peace deal is proving too much for some of Trump's Republican challengers. Take Chris Christie, who wasn't afraid to put a real fine point on his criticism.
I was there in 2016 when Donald Trump said he was going to repeal and replace Obamacare and failed to do it, when he said he was going to build a big, beautiful wall. And now yesterday in Iowa, telling people that he would solve the war between Russia and Ukraine in 24 hours. The only way he could do that is do what he normally does, which is bend down to Vladimir Putin.
Now, if you're tempted to type in Donald Trump bend down for Vladimir Putin into your favorite AI image generator, don't be like me. It's just not worth it. But Christie does have a point. Donald Trump can't even say he wants Ukraine to win this war. What kind of deal do you think he's going to strike with Putin? Christie wasn't alone in knocking Trump for that crazy statement. Someone woke up Mike Pence to take a swing, too.
My former running mate likes to talk about solving it in a day. The only way you'd solve this war in a day is if you gave Vladimir Putin what he wanted. And I got to tell you, they're all meeting in Vilnius, in Lithuania, Bill, this week for NATO. And I got to tell you, if I really believe, and I've met Vladimir Putin, I've looked him right in the eye, I would tell you, if Vladimir Putin overruns Ukraine, if he simply wears down the United States and the West, I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to cross a border, maybe Lithuania itself, or Estonia or Latvia or the countries in the Baltics.
It's amazing. Even when I agree with what a Republican is saying, they just can't help but sprinkle a little bit of fear-mongering on top of the argument. But Pence is actually ambling towards a point. If Putin did cross any of those borders, the United States is treaty-bound to defend those NATO countries. Meanwhile, Mr. the candidate Donald Trump was striking a much friendlier tone with Putin by regaling his rally crowd with a little story about their star-crossed love.
Charging a former president of the United States under the Espionage Act of 1917. Espionage, me, espionage. As Putin said, you are the most vicious president ever. There's never been a president that did this to me, and yet I got along with him. Isn't that nice?
That prompted a response from a new Republican presidential candidate, former Congressman Will Hurd. Hurd is running as an anti-Trump Republican, which means you don't have to worry about remembering his name. Here's Will on Fox News.
I'm not going to try to make Vladimir Putin my BFF. I'm going to treat him like the war criminal that he is. And what we've learned from Ukraine is we should have supported the Ukrainians before the Russians invaded. Just like in Taiwan, we should be giving Taiwan all the tools and equipment they need in order to defend themselves before the Chinese try to take it by force.
Now, Taiwan and Ukraine are not close to the same kind of situation, and it's concerning that Hurd, who's a veteran with a background in foreign policy, wants to conflate them so badly. But who cares? This guy's just going to be one more piece of meat ground up in Iowa. The GOP's lurch toward embracing authoritarian strongmen like Putin is creating serious divides in their party, but there's no mistaking who's in charge. And until anyone anyone can come close to beating Donald Trump, the GOP is Vladimir Putin's party. Buckle up. Did you know Republicans are still trying to figure out what their Hunter Biden conspiracy theory is? Check out this video to learn a little bit more.
Is working harder than an ugly stripper to cover up.
And as always, leave a comment below so you can let me know what I should cover next.